There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 15 minutes left in this practice session. Snake posted 143.274 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? James Allen is on their first practice flying lap. Rich Snake has a best lap time of 143.274. James Allen has a best lap time of 143.249. Jody Fallon is in Bosch curve. With just 11 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 10 minutes left in this practice session. Stokes is getting to grips with the Formula RSS 1970 volts 8 in this practice session. Dominic posted a 141.680 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Marcus Singendonk has a best lap time of 142.835. Not a Real Professor posted 209.842 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Stokes is on their first practice flying lap. Rich has a best lap time of 143.274. With just 6 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. There are just over 5 minutes left in this practice session. Jody Fallon has a best lap time of 1:41.977. Rich posted 1:42.609 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris posted a 1:45.596 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Dominic has a best lap time of 1:41.483. John Astrop is on their practice outlap. With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Chris Stokes has a best lap time of 1:45.596. Alan posted 1:42.693 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Martin Moll has a best lap time of 1:42.750. Inevitable Berry is in start finish. With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Marcus posted a 1:43.005 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Chris Stokes has a best lap time of 1:45.596. Stokes posted 1:45.843 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Here we go, folks. The atmosphere is electric as the drivers prepare to unleash their machines on the track at Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane for the qualifying session.
This is where champions are made, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Nigel is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
This is where the mental game comes into play. DCB is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. The adrenaline is pumping. Dominic Singendonk is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time. As Dominic completes their outlap, they will be HPOING. They have given themselves enough space on track to fully attack for their first flying lap. Jody Fannin is on their outlap.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Jody Fannin can deliver.
Fannin has completed their outlap. It looks like Nigel is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to walk. That's the outlap done for Nigel. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. You can feel the tension building. Assetto is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
Patience is key in these early moments, Hal. But I have a feeling Assetto is going to make it count.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Alan has completed their first flying lap in 141.826. The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but knockoff Nigel is rising. Walters has just completed a lap in 141.729. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and not a real professor is nailing both. Snape has just completed that lap in 142.455. Their best lap so far is 142.455. Putting them in P5, will they be able to hold on to that spot? It's all about strategy in these early moments. Chris Stokes is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how Stokes handles it.
I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just Dominic Fovald going at lightning speed.
I think we might need to start calling Fovard the Flash after that incredible lap time. What do you think, Hal?
Dominic will be happy having put themselves into second in this qualifying session.
It may be difficult for them to improve further on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. They need to drive smooth and smart.
It's clear that Sing and Donk is on a mission in this qualifying session. They're pushing their car to the limit. This is where the mental game comes into play. Alan is taking their time. As James Allen completes their outlap, they will be HPOING. They've given themselves enough space on track to fully attack to their first flying lap. Wow, look at Dominic, Sing and Donk go. They're really turning on the jets in this qualifying session.
Let's see if they can put a good marker down.
James Allen is on their first flying lap.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this, Hal. Let's see if they can maintain this pace.
Allen has completed their first flying lap in 141.455. Impressive work from Nigel, who's claimed 5th on the grid. Now the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position.
Great analysis, Hal. Nigel has shown excellent pace to secure fifth. Now the focus shifts to whether they can use their track position to their advantage in the race.
Not the ideal start for Dominic Singendonk in this qualifying session. Currently in 11th position, they'll be eager to put together a strong final lap to improve their standing. The pressure is on and they'll need to deliver their best performance. Dominic Singendonk has just completed a lap in 1:41.764. Let's see if they can improve on that time further. Incredible drive by Astrop so far, earning them third on the grid. However, the competition is fierce. Will they be able to find that extra edge to move up?
Absolutely, Hal. Astrop has shown great potential.
Astrop will be happy having put themselves into second in this qualifying session. A mesmerizing display from Moll in this qualifying session. They have left everyone in awe with their speed and precision. Currently leading the pack, they are setting the standard and sending a clear message to their competitors.
You're absolutely right, Hal. Martin Moll has asserted their authority on the track.
Moll crosses the start-finish line at the end of their outlap. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The drivers are looking focused out there on the grid. I'm excited for this one, Hal.
Martin Moll will be feeling confident starting from pole position. John Astrop will begin the race from the second spot on the starting grid.
A strong grid position, and they'll be expecting a solid result today.
The third position is occupied by James Allen. It's Nigel Walters sitting comfortably in fourth. Securing the 5th place is Dominic Fovard. Jody Fannin is 6th.
But sometimes the underdog can surprise you. Let's see what they've got in the tank.
As the engines roar to life, Dominic Singendonk prepares to take off from the 7th position on the starting grid. The 8th starting position belongs to Rich Snape, who will be looking to make up ground early on.
We've not seen the best from Rich yet.
Lining up in 9th is David Constable-Berry.
An opportunity for some good points today, but the others aren't going to make it easy.
Marcus Singendonk will be looking to gain ground quickly as they start from 10th on the grid. Chris Stokes may have a bit of work to do starting from 11th on the grid.
Chris will be hoping for some good points today.
The flag drops and the race is underway. Drivers now face the challenge of avoiding first lap penalties.
This is where the real racecraft comes into play. The drivers will be looking for any opportunity to make a move and gain an advantage.
It's all about finding those gaps and making the most of them, especially in these early stages of the race.
And with so many talented drivers on the grid, you know we're going to see some incredible overtakes here in the first sector.
It's not just about making a move, it's about doing it cleanly and without causing any incidents. Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
I can't wait to see how this race will play out. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is looking to get off to a good start.
Let's hope they all brought their games today.
This is going to be one hell of a race. I can already feel it. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today.
It all comes down to this, how where the rubber meets the road. There's no more time for talk, no more practice. The teams have done all they can, now it comes down to Jody to bring it home.
The best laid plans of mice and men Husky, but it's certainly not going to plan for Jody Fannin right now as they're struggling to keep up with Dominic Fovard. Down the neck of John Astrop, waiting for the perfect chance to make their move. The gap between Alan and John is widening. It's now up to 0.2 seconds. war between these three drivers. Who will emerge victorious? Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm on the edge of my seat, Hal. The door-to-door action is exhilarating. The bravery required to go side by side like that is something only the best drivers possess.
The battle is on for Astrop. They're sandwiched between two rivals, Alan 0.1 seconds away and Martin Moll 0.1 seconds ahead. It's a true test of their racecraft.
You're right on the money, Hal. John is caught between two determined rivals, and the gaps to the cars ahead and behind add an extra layer of complexity. It's a delicate balance between defense and seeking opportunities.
Hey Sky, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation back in your racing days?
Well, Hal, patience is key in such scenarios. You need to stay focused and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes your way. It's like a game of chess at 200 miles per hour.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
You can feel the intensity in the air. The slightest mistake could cost either of them the race.
Superb driving from John, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Impressive. The Kiwi is really showing their skill and determination out there.
This is what it's all about, folks. Jody Fallon is in hot pursuit of James Allen, who's just trying to stay ahead. It looks like Jody is making a move. The gap to Allen is now down to 0.1 seconds. Looks like David Constable-Berry is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. The gap between them is just over 0.4 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
A top lap time there from Constable-Berry, setting their fastest lap of the session so far. The action is heating up here as Moll is in fourth, defending from Constable-Berry, who's only 0.3 seconds away.
Martin's doing a great job of defending in the lead, and David is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
Fantastic move from Martin Moll, who has just gained a position.
Yes, Martin Moll is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
Looking at the lap times, Moll is not on pace with David Constable-Berry. Can they turn it around?
It will be interesting to see if David can keep outpacing Martin Moll.
The battle for four is heating up as Constable-Berry tries to catch Martin Moll in P4. It seems like David Constable-Berry is on fire. They have just put in their best lap. The gap between Marcus Singendonk in 6th and David Constable-Berry remains over a second, but Marcus Singendonk is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 27 minutes? A brilliant manoeuvre from Singendonk. Hold that thought, hold the phone. I don't think that's the fastest way around Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane. Singendonk has the pedal to the metal, chasing David Constable-Berry. Seems like Singendonk is pushing. They're on for recording their best lap so far this race. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Fovard trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Marcus Singendonk. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fovard closing enough to land the challenge? Fovard has got their head down now, working those exits and apexes and setting their best lap time so far with a 1 minute.
If they can keep up that pace or even improve it, then this could make Fovard the real challenge for Marcus Singendonk.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as David in fourth chases after Martin Mol. The gap is just over a second and you can feel the tension in the air. Can David Constable-Berry find a way to catch up?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as David Constable-Berry tries to reel in Martin Mol. But Martin Mol is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can David Constable-Berry find some extra pace to bring the fight to Martin?
It looks like we might get a battle between David Constable-Berry and Martin Mol. You know, Sky, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in the race?
Sure, Hal. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
The mental game is just as important here. David Constable-Berry must keep their cool while putting pressure on Martin Mol.
It's not going to plan for Constable-Berry. They're still behind Mol and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
It's not ideal for Constable-Berry, but they can still turn this around. They need to focus on their own driving and not let the gap get any bigger.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Marcus Singendonk trying to outsmart and outmaneuver David Constable-Berry. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? Marcus Singendonk appears to be losing ground on Constable-Berry. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Texaco chicane, see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. In your experience, Sky, what was the most important aspect of managing tyre degradation during the race?
The most important aspect.
Hold that thought, hold the phone. Tough break for Marcus Singendonk, who has just lost a position. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Marcus Singendonk is chasing Dominic in P5. A great moment for Singendonk, who's just gained a place and moved up the standings. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. These guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world, but you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Oh, this is getting intense. Martin Mol is just a few car lengths behind David Constable-Berry. The gap between Martin Mol and David is getting smaller.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
You know, Sky, it's been a relatively quiet race so far.
That's right, Hal. The drivers seem to be pacing themselves and waiting for the right moment to make their move. It's like watching a slow dance.
Marcus Singendonk wants to close that gap with Mol.
Rubbing is racing. Let's hope they don't rub it too hard.
What a move. Marcus Singendonk has moved up to fourth. A setback for Singendonk, who has just been passed. Jody is on a mission, chasing the mid-table bandit who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Fannin is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Rich.
Fannin needs to get more consistent. Sky, they've just put in a slow lap instead. battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting with the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session with the wall.
Big gains for Martin Moll as they move up the field, leaving Marcus Singendorf behind. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. It looks like Fovard is pushing hard to catch up to Martin Moll. The gap is over a second, but Fovard is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Martin Moll?
It's going to be tough for Dominic as Martin Moll seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Dominic pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
Fovard is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Moll to 0.3 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. Both drivers will need to stay calm and focused if they want to come out on top.
Well, it doesn't look like Snapes is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Fovard. Not a real professor is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 0.6 seconds down.
Can Snapes refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they're capable of?
It's all eyes on this battle as Martin Moll in fourth tries to hold off the challenge of Dom.
It's an intense race between these two drivers, and Dominic is going to have to try something here.
A tough moment for Moll, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to fifth.
Definitely. But Moll is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
The tension is building as Snape trails behind Martin Moll. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can Martin Moll hold on, or will Rich Snape be able to close them down? Good news for Rich, the gap to Martin Moll has decreased. It's now down to 0.3 seconds.
That's a great effort from Snape. They need to keep up the pressure and see if they can make a move.
During your race, hold on a moment, hot break for Rich as they slip down the field.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Snape needs to stay calm and focused and make their move when the time is right.
Jody Fannin has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Moll. I expect their only hope at this point is that Martin makes an error. It looks like Jody is making a move. The gap to Moll is now down to 1.9 seconds. The race is heating up as Waters in 8th closes in on Rich Snape. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. Hold that thought, hold the phone. Looks like that's a mistake from Stokes. This could be costly. The gap between Jody Fannin in 6th and Martin Moll remains over a second, but Jody Fannin is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 18 minutes?
This is where experience comes into play. Martin Moll has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Jody Fannin is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
It's game on now. Jody Fannin has closed the gap to Martin Moll. It's now down to 1.3 seconds. The gap between Snape and Waters is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Rich to even allow Nigel to get in the field.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from not a real professor.
Nigel has just put in a faster lap than the mid-table bandit, so that's going to give them something to worry about.
The question is now, can Snapes respond to that in time? They're going to have to pick up the pace.
What do you think, Sky? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during the race?
There are several factors, Hal. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Nigel, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time. It looks like we might get a battle between Knockoff Nigel and Rich Snape. The race is really heating up. Stokes is hunting down Singendonk with everything they've got.
It's a game of strategy now as Chris Stokes hunts down Marcus Singendonk. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
The gap between Chris Stokes and Singendonk is growing. It's now up to 5.0 seconds.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
Fantastic racing on show here today, and it's not breaking update. Great driving from Chris Stokes, who's just gained a place and moved up to 9th. Fauvargue is in the pits. Hold up, breaking info. Dom has pulled into the pits. A strong showing from Fannin, who is currently 3rd. Impressive stuff from Jody Fannin, who has managed to pull away from Nigel Walters, leaving them choking in their exhaust fumes. It's all breaking update. Fauvargue is pitting. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Dominic trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Rich Snape. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fauvargue close in enough to mount a challenge? Rich Snape is placed 7th at the moment. They are hoping to keep their distance ahead of Dominic Fauvargue, who is 0.3 seconds behind. Impressive driving from Rich Snape, who has managed to extend their lead over Dominic. They are walking away at this point. Does Dominic have anything in reserve?
It's clear that the mid-table bandit is dominating right now. They're making it very difficult for Fauvargue to catch up.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Dominic will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
Absolutely. Dominic and 8th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Hold on a second. It looks like Jody Fannin has been called into the pits. It's a battle of wills out there, with Dominic trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Rich Snape. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It seems like Fauvargue has got the bit between their teeth, improving on Snape's lap time there.
As long as Dominic...
Hold that thought, hold the phone. Nigel Walters in the pits. Every move counts now as Fauvargue works to reel in Snape and overtake for P7. Superb driving from Fauvargue, who with that overtake has gained the position in the race. You know, Sky, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, hell, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
Things don't seem to be going Martin Moll's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a braking alert. That won't be ideal for Martin.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
This This is a thrilling battle as Fauvargue edges closer to the mid-table bandit in their fight for P6.
You can see that car bouncing around as they ride the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
Fauvargue is trying their best but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Rich Snape at the moment.
This is a tough situation for Dominic. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
This is where the race gets really interesting. David is closing in on James Allen. Constable Berry is on a charge. Their split time shows they've upped their pace. Well, it stopped the press. Moll has decided to pitch. The pressure is on for Fauvargue as they try to catch up to Rich.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Dom needs to be careful not to overdo it.
A brilliant maneuver from Dominic Fauvargue, who has just moved up the field.
That's what we like to see. Dom is really showing their class today.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as DCB in third chases after James Allen. The gap is just over a second and you can feel the tension in the air. Can David Constable Berry find a way to catch up? The gap between DCB and James is getting smaller.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Rich is giving it their all as they chase down Dom in P5.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
It looks like Dominic is pulling away from Rich. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Joke and Rid curve.
Snape needs to focus and keep pushing. Even when things aren't going their way, if they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Fauvargue.
This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow AI, it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
The tension is building as Allen trails behind David Constable Berry. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can David Constable Berry hold on, or will James Allen be able to close them down?
That's right. Allen in third knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But David Constable Berry is no slouch and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
It seems like James Allen is struggling. They're not able to maintain their pace. The race is heating up as Snapes in sixth closes in on Dominic Fauvargue. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Dominic Fauvargue is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Rich Snape in P6 doing everything they can to catch up.
It seems like Rich Snape is pushing. They're on for recording their best lap so far this race. The gap between Allen in third and David Constable Berry remains over a second, but Allen is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 7 minutes? James Allen is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Constable Berry to 0.6 seconds. We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we have something to fall back on if we ever get bored of regular racing. Bumper cars might be the next big thing.
Rich Snape has a mountain climb at the moment to close that gap with Dom. I expect their only hope at this point is that Dominic makes an error.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon unless it's down to a mistake from Dominic Faubourg.
Good news for Snape, the gap to Dom has decreased. It's now down to 1.1 seconds. You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely, it's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers, who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
The gap between David and James Allen is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from David to even allow James to get a look in. It looks like James Allen is making a move. The gap to David is now down to 0.7 seconds. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Rich, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time. It seems like Snakes are struggling. Their last lap time wasn't as good as Faubourg's. It looks like Allen is pushing hard to catch up to David Constable-Berry. The gap is over a second, but Allen is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on David Constable-Berry?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with James Allen in third determined to catch up. But we know David isn't just going to hand it to them on the plate. James Allen is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
Things don't seem to be going Dominic Faubourg's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining place here. It looks like we might get a battle between Faubourg and Jody Fannin. As the race settles down, the drivers are really going at it.
It's like watching a high-speed game of chess. One wrong move and it could be game over, but these drivers are masters of their craft, always thinking 3 steps ahead.
That's right, and with the way they're maneuvering those cars, it's like they have superpowers.
It's almost like they have the power of flight, but instead of flying, they're speeding down the track like rockets.
I wonder if they have any spare rocket boosters for sale. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. James Allen will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. The best laid plans of mice and men husk I, but it's certainly not going to plan for James Allen right now, as they are struggling to keep up with David Constable-Berry.
Allen needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
It's a battle of wills out there, with not a real professor trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Dominic Faubourg. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race?
It's going to be tough for Snape, as Dominic Faubourg seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Snape pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It's not going to plan for Not a Real Professor. They are still behind Dominic and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now. The crowd is on tender hooks as Alan in third chases after David Constable Berry. The gap is just over a second and you can feel the tension in the air. Can James Allen find a way to catch up? It's not looking good for Alan. They're still behind David and the gap is increasing. They're gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around. It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Snake, who is currently in P6, but Dominic Fauvargue is not making it easy and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Rich Snake. I don't think that's the fastest way around Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane.
James Allen is not going to be happy about that.
The pursuit is on. Fannin is closing the gap on Allen, determined to claim P3.
I think they are going to take them.
A great pass for Fannin as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, James Allen has lost ground. Looks like Not a Real Professor is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
And Not a Real Professor has just won the place from Alan.
Absolutely. The mid-table bandit is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
As a former racing driver, Sky, how important is the relationship between a driver and their team during a race?
It's absolutely crucial now. The team provides valuable...
Breaking news, folks. Disappointing for Rich, they now find themselves in 6th. The tension is building as Nigel trails behind James Allen. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can James Allen hold on or will Nigel Walters be able to close them down? The gap between Walters and Allen is getting smaller. The track conditions are looking good here today. The drivers will be able to push the cars to the limit and it's going to make for some exciting racing. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. James Allen appears to be losing ground on Snake. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Hellerlick Deck to see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground.
It's not over yet, but James Allen needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Snake.
An impressive showing from Allen, who has gained positions and left Rich Snake in the dust.
Definitely. But there's still a long way to go in this race, and anything can happen. James Allen needs to keep driving with focus and intensity.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Dom trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Jody Fannin. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fauvargue close in enough to mount a challenge?
This is where experience comes into play. Jody Fannin has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Dominic is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
As we come into the final moments of this epic race, Astrop is in the lead. Can they stay calm and bring home the bacon?
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. John has certainly risen to the occasion.
It's all over. Astrop has claimed victory in this race with a stunning drive that will be remembered for years to come, clearly at the top of their game right now.
And that's why John is one of the best in the business. A dominant display of driving from start to finish, leaving the rest of the pack in the dust.
Some might say that second place is the first loser, but David certainly doesn't see it that way. They put in a phenomenal effort and should be proud of their impressive result.
Intense race, but David Constable Berry held their nerve and earned a great second place.
Excellent focus from Fannin to secure a fantastic third place on the podium. Coming in 4th, 5th and 6th we have Dominic Fovard, James Allen and Nigel Waters, with Rich Snape in 7th. Eighth is Chris Stokes. I'm Hal, the VVS commentator bot. Let's do this.
I'm Sky, Hal's co-commentator. I'm so excited.
You've joined us on a breezy day here at Oesterreichring 1979, no chicane, as we're getting ready to kick things off. Martin Moll will be looking to convert their pole position into a win. At second we have the one and only Chris Stokes. The third position is occupied by Rich Snape.
But they're going to have to be quick out of the blocks if they want to keep up with the top performers.
And in fourth place we have Nigel Walters. James Allen will begin the race from the fifth spot on the starting grid.
Allen is looking on for a strong result.
Dominic Fovag is sixth.
We've not seen the best from Dominic yet.
As the engines roar to life, Jody Fannin prepares to take off from the seventh position on the starting grid. Starting from the eighth position, David Constable-Berry will need to navigate through the field to challenge for the win. From the middle of the pack we have John Astrop in ninth place on the starting grid. Marcus Singendonk is lining up 10th. the green flag drops, the race is officially underway.
This is where the real racecraft comes into play. The drivers will be looking for any opportunity to make a move and gain an advantage.
It's all about finding those gaps and making the most of them, especially in these early stages of the race.
And with so many talented drivers on the grid, you know we're going to see some incredible overtakes here in the first sector.
It's not just about making a move, it's about doing it cleanly and without causing any incidents. There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is looking to get off to a good start. As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. It's brilliant to see such a full grid here today. The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage?
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this race unfolds.
The racing is normally closely fought here at Oesterreichring 1979, no chicane. I think we are in for a cracking race.
I for one am really excited, Hal. The rivalry between John and Constable Barry has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
Someone get Moll a strong coffee, as it looks like they've been caught dozing from the get-go. The team won't be pleased with that start, relinquishing places already. It's been a solid race so far for Martin Moll. They're holding their position and keeping a steady pace. James is on a mission, chasing Nigel, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The tension between James Allen and Walters is palpable as they battle for P3. No doubt both drivers know that one mistake could cost them a position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
And they now find themselves in 6th.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. James needs to stay calm and focused and make their move when the time is ready.
They're going side by side, door handle to door handle. This is as close as it gets, folks. Who will have the courage to outbrake the others?
Absolutely, Hal. The slipstream plays a crucial role in these battles. The drivers are using every trick in the book to gain an advantage while constantly evaluating when to make their move.
This is not looking good for Nigel. They've just lost 4th to Joe and Fanner, and their strategy must be failing. The action is non-stop as James Allen shadows John Astrop through every twist and turn, determined to claim 6th. There's not much to report on from James Allen at the moment. They're just keeping their head down and putting in consistent laps. It's an intense battle for position as Martin Moll tries to outmaneuver Allen. This is edge of seat racing.
If Moll pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during the race.
It seems like Martin Moll is pushing. They're on to recording their best lap so far this race.
Can Martin keep it together?
James Allen is looking to take advantage of that arrow as they get in range of Walters. That's going to give them the pull they need to mount a challenge very soon.
Absolutely. Nigel Walters in 6th is doing a fantastic job of holding on to their lead. but they can't afford to make a single mistake, and James Allen is looking for any opportunity to make a move. This could be a battle to the finish line.
Heartbreak for Walters as they slip down the field.
That's got to hurt. Nigel Walters will be kicking themselves right now.
During your racing career, Sky, how did you determine when it was the right time to pit for fresh tyres due to tyre degradation?
It was a combination of factors, Hal. Monitoring lap times, communicating with the team about tire wear, and assessing the car's handling were all crucial in deciding when to make a pit stop for fresh tires.
The Kiwi wants to close that gap with Fannin.
I might have said this before, but dog bone, you know the rest.
Game on now. Assetto has closed the gap to Jody Fannin. It's now down to 0.1 seconds.
We'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
It's a brilliant day for racing and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Hal.
Hold that thought, hold the phone. A brilliant manoeuvre from John Assetto, who's just moved up the field.
Absolutely. John is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
I'm sure James Allen in fifth is starting to notice Martin Moll is right on there. Hold that thought, hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Chris Stokes.
Whoops, Chris Stokes is going to be kicking themselves.
The crowd is on their feet, roaring with excitement. It's an all-out war between these three drivers. Who will emerge victorious? Your guess is as good as mine.
You hit the nail on the head, Hal. The elite drivers truly stand out in moments like these. They have a sixth sense for identifying weaknesses and capitalizing on them with surgical precision.
Talk about being caught in the middle. Jody Fannin is sandwiched between their rivals, Allen 0.1 seconds behind and John Assetto 0.1 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on. Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners, it's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
Haha, I bet they were, but things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Every move counts now as DCB works to reel in James and overtake for P5.
I think they are going to take them.
The best laid plans of mice and men Husky, but it's certainly not going to plan for DCB right now as they're struggling to keep up with James Allen.
It's not over yet, but David needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Allen.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Moll trying to outsmart and outmaneuver David Constable-Berry. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. We will see a dramatic finish to this race. It looks like Martin is making a move. The gap to DCB is now down to 0.1 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Superb driving from Martin Moll, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
One wrong move and we could see a spectacular new synchronized pirouette performance by Allen and Fannin, though I doubt the judges would give them a perfect score. Can Allen keep it together?
So Sky, considering the high speeds and split-second decision-making involved in racing, what's the impact of even a minor lapse in concentration?
A minor lapse in concentration can have significant consequences, Hal. It could lead to an off-track excursion, a loss of position, or even a collision. That's why it's crucial for drivers to stay focused and alert throughout the race.
The race is really heating up. The Kiwi is hunting down the mid-table bandit with everything they've got. Assetto is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Rich to 0.1 seconds. job is the braking update. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 8 kph out there right now.
This is where the race gets really interesting. James Allen is closing in on Fannin.
The mental game is just as important here. James must keep their cool while putting pressure on Jody Fannin.
Great effort from James. The last lap was the best we've seen from him.
The more laps they do, the faster these guys get. This should make for some great racing hell.
You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely, it's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers, who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Martin Moll is right on the heels of Allen, and we're in for a wild ride.
If things go wrong between Martin and Allen, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chase.
Looks like we might get a battle between Martin and Allen.
Exactly what Martin Moll needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Allen.
This is a thrilling moment in the race with James Allen in fourth, defending their position with everything they've got, but Martin Moll is relentless and the gap is less than 0.2 seconds. It's anyone's position at this point.
It's a close race as we can see, and James Allen is doing a great job defending their position. Will Martin be able to squeeze through?
It seems like Allen is pushing. They're on for recording their best lap so far this race. Looks like Martin Moll is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curve can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
Martin Moll is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with James Allen at the moment.
Martin Moll needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Allen.
Good news for James Allen, the gap to Jody Fannin has decreased. It's now down to 0.1 seconds. During your racing career, Sky, did you have any specific techniques to regain concentration if you felt it slipping?
Yes, Hal.
Braking alert, a great moment for James, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
You can't argue with results like that. Allen is really making their mark on this race.
We got a close battle as Moll closes in on James Allen. Martin Moll needs to get more consistent. Sky, they've just put in a slower lap than Allen.
Can Martin Moll turn this around?
Great driving from Martin Moll, who has just gained a place and moved up to fourth. The tension is building as David Constable-Berry trails behind Martin Moll. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can Martin Moll hold on, or will David Constable-Berry be able to close them down?
Absolutely. Constable-Berry in fifth will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
DCB appears to be losing ground on Martin Moll. They will need to pick up the pace a bit as they head into Joke and Rint Curve and see if they can get a good exit and gain some ground. It's a close race between Moll and Allen in third.
If Moll gets any closer to James, they'll need to start sending out wedding invitations.
It's game on now. Mole has closed the gap to James. It's now down to 0.1 seconds. The race is heating up as David in 5th closes in on Martin Mole. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight. It looks like David is making a move. The gap to Martin Mole is now down to 1.0 seconds. We often hear drivers complaining about tyre graining. Sky, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
Things are heating up as Mole tries to close the gap to James Allen. Mole is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to James Allen to 0.2 seconds. Fantastic move from Martin Mole, who has just gained a position.
That's what we like to see. Martin Mole is really showing their class today.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Nigel Walters in 7th chases after Jody Fannin. The gap is just over a second and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Nigel Walters find a way to catch up? It looks like we might get a battle between Knockoff Nigel and Fannin. You know, Sky, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Hal. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
It doesn't seem like things are going. Hold that thought, hold the phone. Looks like that's a mistake from Mark. This could be costly. James Allen has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Constable Berry. I expect their only hope at this point is that David makes an error. The gap between Allen and David is widening. It's now up to 6.0 seconds.
This is a tough situation for James Allen. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
A setback for Allen, who's just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating. But James Allen is a skilled driver and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
Things don't seem to be going Knockoff Nigel's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Breaking news, folks. I don't think that's the fastest way around Oesterreichring 1979 no chicane.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
James Allen is pitting. It looks like Nigel is pushing hard to catch up to Jody Fannin. The gap is over a second, but Nigel is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Jody Fannin? The gap between Knockoff Nigel and Jody is getting smaller. The gap between Astrop in 2nd and Dominic Fauvargue remains over a second, but Astrop is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 5 minutes? Good news for John, the gap to Dominic has decreased. It's now down to 2.0 seconds. Classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Walters, who is currently in P5, but Jody Fannin is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Nigel Walters.
That's right. Nigel Walters in 5th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Jody Fanning is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
It's game on now. Nigel has closed the gap to Jody Fannin. It's now down to 0.5 seconds. I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride, and I for one can't wait to see what is coming next.
Apparently we're going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. The tension is palpable. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
Should things go awry, Walters and Fanning might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
A brilliant maneuver from Nigel, who has just moved up the field. This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Jody will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Nigel Walters is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Jody Fannin and P5 doing everything they can to catch up.
The gap between Fannin and Nigel Walters has grown. It's now up to 1.2 seconds.
Fannin is really going to need to push in start-finish to try and gain some ground on Walters before they disappear into the sunset.
You know, Sky, I've always wondered, how do racing drivers stay so cool and collected under such immense pressure?
Well, hell, it comes down to mental strength and training. Drivers often work with sports psychologists and practice techniques like meditation and visualization to help them stay calm and focused during high-pressure situations.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Fannin trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Nigel Walters. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? It's not going to plan for Jody Fannin. They're still behind Nigel Walters and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
Jody Fannin needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
The race is heating up as the Kiwi in second closes in on Dominic Fovard. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Astrup in second determined to catch up. But we know Dom isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Astrup is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
The crowd is on tenterhooks as Fannin in fifth chases after Nigel Walters. The gap is just over a second and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Jody Fannin find a way to catch up? Wait, that won't be ideal for Dom. The gap between Nigel Walters and Fannin is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Nigel to even allow Jody to get a look in. It seems like Jody is struggling. Their last lap time wasn't as good as Walters's. The tension is building as David trails behind Dominic Fovard. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing and the pressure is mounting. Can Dominic Fovard hold on, or will David Constable-Berry be able to close them down? Looking at the lap times, David Constable-Berry is not on pace with Dominic Fovard. Can they turn it around?
It will be interesting to see if Dominic Fovard can keep outpacing David.
Well, it doesn't look like Jody Fannin is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Nigel Waters.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Nigel.
Fannin is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Nigel to 2.9 seconds. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Dominic trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on John Astrup. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Dominic Fauvargue close in enough to mount a challenge?
This is where experience comes into play. John Astrup has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Dominic Fauvargue is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the Titans?
Fauvargue needs to get more consistent, Sky. They've just put in a slower lap than Astrup. What do you think, Sky? Are there any specific factors that could lead to a driver losing concentration during a race?
There are several factors, Hal. Fatigue, stress, changing track conditions, or even issues within the team can all contribute to a lapse in concentration. It's essential for drivers to stay mentally resilient and adapt to these challenges.
Well, the Kiwi is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race. And it's a checkered flag for John Astrup, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today.
You could feel the tension building throughout the race, but John remained focused and in control. That's what separates the winners from the pack.
A nail-biting finish, but Dominic claims second place. Impressive drive from Constable Berry to claim the final spot on the podium. Fourth sees Nigel Waters. Jody Fannin end in fifth. Sixth is Marcus Singendonk. Finishing seventh is James Allen. Taking eighth is Rich Snake.